What's up, guys? Welcome back to Off the Reservation, a show that wants to take you on the crazy train called nostalgia. I'm your number one wizard, Mal.
I'm Mel.
And I'm the son of Picasso.
Nostalgia. You guys went for a little more demonic nostalgia. That was less monster truck rally and more
nostalgia.
more Satan in your closet.
You're nostalgia.
Nostalgia.
Nostalgia is always
Nostalgia
nice.
with the devil.
You know, I miss the old devil in your closet, not this new devil in your closet. The new devil in your closet is called the government, and you never know what they're gonna do.
Okay, let's get on this topic. How did we get to talk about nostalgia?
Nostalgia. I mean, I think we were gonna go ahead and what was it? I'm moving, so I finally bought a house. I'm getting a house and everything, and in the process of trying to gather up my stuff and move it, our parents found all my old toys from when I was a kid, and so they're like going through it all, and
Well, this is like the first time for you to. Well, so like, I mean, when I first moved out of my house, like my parents didn't like immediately like just get rid, because I had a lot of stuff left there.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't immediately get rid of it. Did your parents do that for you, or because this is the first time you've like
this is the first time I'm full on
moving out, right?
Yeah. No, this is the first time I've full on moved out, and now they're gathering. I mean, they're gathering up stuff slowly. I mean, when you live in one place for so long, you grow roots and your stuff penetrates all the.
I feel like for most parents,
corners.
though, the first time their kid moves out, it's sad at first.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, it's just like, you get that empty nest syndrome or whatever that's called.
Yeah.
But like, it's like, they're not here anymore, and they feel real like nostalgic about it. But they hold on to your stuff for you. And then what I've learned though is that at a certain point they get over that and they're like, I really want this space back. Can I get this closet back? And then they tell you, hey, I've got like 4 crates of your stuff over here. Do you want this, or should I just give it away? And you're like, that's my stuff. And then you have to make a decision like, is this worth keeping or not?
But then you get it back and you're like, do I really want to keep this, man? Now I gotta throw it out or donate it or
find somewhere to put this. Yeah. And then it sits in your house for either 30 years or you make the decision to throw it away. Yeah. Anyways, is that how your parents were though? Are they?
No, I mean, it's only been the first week. And so, and the rougher part is like, that was the house that we had my son in. And so like, he's got his toys still there, and they're finding my toys from like 31 years ago in the house. Like, it's all over the place. And so they're going through everything, and they posted a picture saying like, oh, we found Mal's old toys and things like that. And
I saw that.
But I think, looking back at it, I'm like, man, which one was my favorite? Like, what was the toys that I played with the most? And I think for me, it was my favorite from like when I was a kid was probably the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars.
Well, so wait, you grew up in the early 90s, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I finally fully became conscious, it was probably around
like mid-90s?
Mid-90s.
Yeah.
But like, growing up during that time, Star Wars was making its way around, and it was pretty big. And so like my parents ended up getting me the Millennium Falcon, and I got to play with that, and that was cool. And it wasn't like a little one. It was like a huge
I remember that. Had
like compartments, had like the place where he could play I don't know, like the space chess that they had.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
it was pretty cool.
So Return of the Jedi came out in 83.
Yeah.
And that was, before the new prequels came out.
Yeah.
But like the thing like the famously with Star Wars is that like George Lucas went crazy with like toys.
Yeah.
Like even like with Return of the Jedi, the whole like premise of like him putting like the Ewoks in was because they wanted to sell like a toy. They wanted like a toy to sell for kids, and that kind of like became like a trope or like even a joke, I guess, with Star Wars. But like
merchandising.
Yeah, exactly, right? Spaceballs, merchandising. But like Yeah, so there was a ton of those toys, and they just kept pumping them out, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so you had a Millennium Falcon, like that was like full, you could like open like the hatch, right? And like see all the compartments inside.
Yeah, and
that
you
was
can
pretty
even,
detailed.
like, you could put them in the cockpit and everything.
Yeah. And you got like the action figures.
Yeah. I had the little Han, little Luke. I mean, like when we were a kid, how many Lukes could you have? Like there was like 50 different ones. And
they had to make one for every outfit he ever did, and then maybe the spin-offs books that they were writing and stuff.
I think my favorite one that he was in was the orange jumpsuit for when they were on, was it Hoth?
Oh yeah, when he's flying the X-wing.
Oh, not the X-wing, the one that's
the speeder.
Oh,
what is it called?
The like low-level speeder.
Land
speeder thing.
Yeah. When he takes down the AT-AT.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
All right, so here, settle this for me. You guys, it's called AT-AT, right? That's what you guys, or do you guys call it AT-AT?
I call it
AT.
You call it AT-AT?
Yeah.
Why? Explain the reasoning to this, man. I gotta know.
I don't know. I probably just heard somebody else call it AT-AT, and I probably repeated it. You know, don't roast me on it. Don't like say you're not a true Star Wars fan, right? But
well, so I know there's. I had some friends that I worked with that they were around your age, so they were a little bit older than me, and they were like, "No, it's AT-AT." I was like, "But that doesn't make sense to me."
Like it stands for what? Like all terrain?
Yeah, it's an acronym, right?
I have no clue. To be honest with you, like I think I've even called them Imperial Walkers, right?
Yeah. Though that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I would even take that.
I would,
All right, so it stands for all terrain armored transport. But my issue is like, so the little two-legged doohickeys, those guys, those are ATSTs. I wouldn't call that an AT-ST. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so what's the rationale by calling it an AT-AT? But there's some people who are like, I will die on the vine with this because it is like, I'll take it to my grave. It's AT-AT. I'm like, I even think it just sounds cooler calling it AT-AT. That's me.
Well, I think we should take a break and off camera discuss this AT-AT AT.
Well, we're going to continue this discussion.
Conversation.
Yeah. All right. We'll be right back.
And we're back. That's all I got. We're back from those short break, and thank you guys for sticking around.
For sure.
But I guess we're gonna continue the discussion of our favorite toys growing up, because we are nostalgic.
Because we just want to ride that nostalgia train.
Yeah.
All aboard. All right. Well, so we talked about yours, Mal. You had the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Very intricate.
Very, very fun.
I think, it was kind of cool. Like, a lot of details in yours, right?
Yeah. I mean, it had all the parts in which you could, choke on as a kid,
Would you give that toy to your kid?
Yeah,
today.
Yeah. I mean, I survived. I mean, how many of those blasters from all the stormtroopers and everything did kids choke on back in the day? I mean,
I think what's kind of cool about that whole story is I was older than you, obviously, and so as I moved out, you inherited all of my toys, and from the good toys to the bad toys. I remember when I was growing up. There was no safety councils, right? So cap guns really looked like real guns.
Yeah.
There was no little orange tip on the front. They made things to really look like.
Oh, didn't we have a TMP?
Oh yeah, we had Uzis that looked like real Uzis. I mean, you could probably hold up a liquor store with that thing. You know what I mean?
Oh jeez.
It's so
Those
funny,
and
we'd be playing in the backyard with these toys, and so it was cool to pass those on to him. So I saw that picture that Mom and Dad posted of all those Star Wars toys, and I was like, half of those are mine. But I think that's the rite of passage for an older brother to bestow his toy collection onto his younger brother, because that actually happened to me. So when I was a kid, it was I don't know, 1980 something, and G.I. Joe had just came out and was re came out and was just the toy that every kid wanted. And I had you know how Native families, like, I had an uncle who was like my same age.
Yeah.
Or all around my same age, but he had just like moved on to like his next stage in life. Like he found girls and was like, I'm all about girls. Here, you can have my toys. Right. And so like one day he just showed up and gave me this giant black trash bag just full of every single G.I. Joe you could think of, right?
Oh,
and I was
cool.
like, it was like, you know what I mean? Like, wow, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I just remember like taking all those G.I. Joes and just playing for hours in the backyard, like making forts, doing cool stuff. And it's kind of crazy now because like I look on eBay and like see a lot of those older toys that I had.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy crap, the thing's worth that much?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I was like, I was shooting those with BB guns, lighting them on fire, you know?
And I think the fun thing about like where we wasn't just like the toys that we had, but where we grew up, because we had a large backyard. It was with the military, African American military housing, and so they had essentially like 2 backyards worth. Yeah, and it was so large. Like as a kid,
like a double lot.
Yeah, you got to explore, and like what we spent half of our time using a shovel just digging
like
holes
making forts in the backyard.
Yeah, like doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And
what was a bummer a little bit about that house back then is that you guys didn't have a full fence in the back, right? It was only like a little like 2-foot like fence. So like when you were out there playing, like everybody could see you.
Yeah.
You know?
But I mean, it was kind of fun too, because like, you know, my neighborhood friends would like just like crawl over the backyard. Like forego front doors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Well, I remember one of the things I remember was like you guys always had a BB gun. And you were always like target practicing. I always wanted, because I grew up, I didn't really have much of a backyard. Like it was like chain link fence, you know, and so everybody could see in, you know. It was like, you can't be in the back playing with a BB gun. Like when like you're right next to the park and everybody can see you, you know. It's like so I always liked going to your guys' house because you guys always had like the cool stuff set up in the backyard, you know.
It was like a total like boy house. Like there was like archery, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was going down. It was a lot of fun.
Well, like the funny thing is like that's just how your dad was when he was younger. Like except he didn't have a yard. He had like the whole reservation
to play with. Yeah.
He had the whole Navajo Nation at his you know, at his doorstep. But like
you could walk for hours in any direction.
Yeah, and you know.
Well, I think he had a 22 though, so I mean.
Well, everything downgraded, you know. The land got downgraded to a lot.
Yeah.
22 got downgraded to a BB gun.
Yeah.
But when you got pellets, you know,
that was the time.
You're like, ooh.
See, you know what's really crazy? Since we're talking about BB guns, so like, you know, it technically was called the war zone where we lived, right? And the neighbor that lived behind us, anybody that's ever lived in the hood knows like there's a thing about hood life and pigeons, right? Like there's like pigeon homing, like homing pigeons. Like I don't know if anybody ever knows. Like okay. Well, anyway, like this man that lived behind us, and in the early morning he would send his homing pigeons out, and he'd be back there like clapping, and they would like come down and fly down, right? And who knows where he's sending these homing pigeons to? If he's sending them to like Mexico or like, you know what I mean, to the county jail, you know what I mean, who knows where he's sending these kites to, right? So me and him would be in our backyard, and like it'd be like in the evening, and like we'd have nothing else to shoot, and like all his homing pigeons would be on the line and they would just shit all over the backyard. So it was just one of those things to just like take out his pigeons, and like one day we were shooting them.
Which we didn't know they were.
Yeah, we didn't know he were his pigeons. It wasn't. Once we
pigeons
found out they were his homing pigeons, we kind of stopped. But it was like these pigeons are just everywhere. We're like, what's going on? So kind of feel bad, but
well, you don't know.
Good times with that.
You don't know what that pigeon was used for. Could have been used for some nefarious acts.
Well, speaking of the BB gun, so there's this one time when we first got it, I was like showing you how to use it, and we shot at like a little Lego man on this post, and I was like, oh, that's cool, and then all of a sudden you took it and you're like, all right, so how many pumps do you pump it and to make it so that way you can't shoot anybody? And I was like, oh, 3 times, and you're standing there like, oh, okay, and you pumped it once, pumped it twice, and then you looked at me and you went, hey, you need to run. I was like, what? And you're like, you need to run. And I was like, what are you doing? And you pumped it a third time and you pointed it at me. And I was like, no. I'm walking backwards and I'm crying and I'm like, don't do it. And you're like, you better run. You got 5, 4, 3. And I turn around, I start running. All of a sudden I hear, psh, and I get shot in the back. And I'm like, I got shot.
See, that's not that bad.
Then you did the typical brother thing of like, shh, don't tell mom. Don't tell mom. It's okay. You're fine. Let me look at it.
This is fun.
And I'm like, no, I don't ever want to play with you ever again. Oh, man. So yeah.
See, you missed it, right? Like when I was a little kid, like around
because
that age.
I didn't get to shoot people.
No. Well, okay. Rewind the story, all right? Let me just tell you both sides of the story. So we would go back to Oklahoma.
I get shot with the BB gun.
And I would be with all of our cousins, like Kevin and Randy and like our cousin Jason, right? And everybody had BB guns, and we would have BB gun wars. Like we would physically shoot at each other with BB guns. So it was nothing to get shot with the BB gun. Like we'd be sitting there like on like Grandma Bessie's like tractor, and you'd hear ping off the metal, you know what I mean? And know like somebody was shooting at you. And then somebody got shot in the lip and like literally and like pushed on it and the BB like shot out, right? Like it was intense. Like that's how native boys play.
It could have been worse, Mel.
I guess it could have been worse.
Well, see, I was the young one, so like I was the one running, getting shot, getting pelted in the arm with BB guns. So
he had to pass on the tradition.
Yeah.
Go find our young cousins.
Yeah.
All right, you better run.
Load up.
5 seconds, you better run. All right, guys. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more BB gun stories. Maybe not. I don't know.
More war stories.
More wars from the war zone.
See, that was the
from
first
the war
time.
zone.
Hey, guys. Hope you're enjoying the show. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe. And remember to share the show, because sharing is caring. Now back to the show.
All right, guys, and we're back with some more Off the Reservation. We're just trying to bring a little bit of humor into your life, maybe, some heartfelt connections, it's what we're trying to do here.
Some spices of life.
Yeah, and, we're talking about spices of life. All right, we're going to go to the phone lines now. Caller, what's your name?
Dave.
Hey, Dave, how you doing? You're on with the off the res.
What a horrible name.
Oh man. No, where
You guys remember that?
Remember that one time? We had a caller and Mal didn't know what he was doing, and he freaked out, panicked, and dropped the ball.
Yeah, I do remember. It just happened.
But
no, we're here talking about nostalgia.
Nostalgia.
So we were going down memory lane with toys,
and
the
fun that we had shooting each other. And
well, it's funny because we were just talking about
pigeons.
it, like Son Picasso. You were telling us like your daughters there's a lot of toys for girls these days.
Yeah.
Like you get like so many different
endless amount of toys. Like literally, like you guys just saw, she's like charging up her like little GoPed scooter for her American
moped.
Girl doll, right?
Oh, it's for an American Girl doll. Dang.
And like for those of you who don't know, I have a set of twins. I have a daughter and a son, and they're the same age, obviously, because they're twins. And like we go toy shopping, right? And it's so easy to find toys for her, like just girl stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
And then, we go to the boys section. I'll put it in air quotes, right? The boys section, because toys are toys, right? But like we're walking around and like there's just nothing that's geared for him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's just
like
it's
Nerf guns.
Yeah.
TV show things, cars.
And I notice it's mainly geared towards video games. Like they're really pushing like the video game agenda on
the
like,
Fortnite.
Males. Yeah. And it's kind of sad, I mean, I remember growing up and like, in the same sense though, I look at it and some of my favorite toys were like literally the things I made, right? Like they were just like the sticks that were like the shape of a gun, or like
everything was gun related, weapon related. the stick here, it's a sword.
Or like even building a fort. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like we talked about our backyard, and like it was just like perfect, like fort building. Like
yeah.
Did you ever come over when I had that tree? So like there was a shed. You remember the old shed? It was like one of those old sheds that had like the aluminum siding and everything.
Yeah.
Well, it was had like, I don't know, maybe 2 feet between it and the fence. And so Dad had all those 2x4s cut up and ended up laying them across so that way they were wedged against the fence and the side of the aluminum shed. And I made that like as a roof. And then I made a trap door so that way, and there was a tree in the middle of it. And so I would climb up this, was like a Chinese elm tree that like maybe went like, I don't know, 50 feet into the air. Like it was pretty tall, but it was a young one. And so it was really thin, and I'd climb up it and I'd use it as my look.
Bend. Like, it would be like,
yeah. And like, as I'm climbing up, it would just sway back and forth. Yeah. And I sat in there and by that time, our parents were like, all right, you're old enough. You can take care of yourself. Just don't die. And I'd be sitting up there, and we were near the freeway, so I could see like the freeway, and I could watch the cars go by, and I could see people coming down the road. It was high enough to be able to see all over those things, but at the same time, like that was what I did as a kid. Like, you do crazy things.
A hobo camp?
Yeah, I built a hobo camp.
It's a hobo shanty.
Yeah, didn't you have homeless people living back there?
No, that was Son of Picasso.
Oh.
He wasn't living back there.
Well, like the forts, we're talking about like 2-story fort structures. You know what I'm saying? We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Wait, so you built like elevated? It was elevated, or it was just between the shed and the fence?
Oh, it was between the shed and the fence, and
it could have been elevated.
I could have.
Like things were like wedged, like
yeah. You wedge things, and then I got.
It was like a Lord of the Flies like meets like
urban and
New
urban
York, bombed out homeless sleeping camp.
Yeah, and then I put up like we had a wire fence, and so like I ended up putting that up in front of it to keep.
Oh, and it was so cool because like our dad had all kinds of like surplus military materials, so like we would throw like camouflage tarps on top, like do like dugouts, like dig into the ground and like bury part of it. Like it was
but nobody ever went back there.
Yeah, it was like,
so there wasn't any point of us like camouflaging it.
That was like, what's his name? Steve? Camping with Steve?
Yeah, like stealth camping.
You guys were stealth camping in your backyard, but there was no one to see it, so it didn't really matter.
Well, it was always scary because every time the summer came around, there was always like cockroaches and bugs and spiders everywhere, and I'd be like, man, I gotta clean it all out now. I think I had it for like 3 or 4 years, and then when we moved out, I had to tear it down.
He inherited from his older brother.
That reminds me of there's this like episode of The Simpsons where Bart buys from auction. He buys a warehouse for $1, and then he gets Milhouse, his friend Milhouse, to like. He's like, all right, Milhouse, you need to work at my warehouse. He's like, oh, okay. And he's like, he just does a bunch of random stuff. He's like, oh, all right, quitting time, And he's like, hey, where you going? You're on night duty. And he gives him like a night guard, like a security guard outfit, He's got like a hat and like a nightstick. And he's like, this is what my life's come down to. It's like when little kids like find their own place, though. It's like you had responsibilities. I got to clean it out. It's spring cleaning. I got to get these bugs out of here now.
Yeah. That's how it is.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, I didn't have a lot of toys growing up, but the best, like you said, the best ones I remember were the ones that were just they were just weapons.
Yeah.
I remember getting a sword. It was Sting from Lord of the Rings. It was Frodo's originally Bilbo's sword, but it was cool because you put batteries in there, and then when you go to hit it, it would light up blue.
Really?
So, yeah, it was pretty cool. And then I like the things that I remember were always everybody else's toys because I was always at everybody else's houses, So like I got to play with them too. I remember you guys used to have like the Star Wars
lightsabers.
blasters.
Oh, blasters!
Yeah. Didn't you have Han Solo's
Yeah, that was Ben's. He had a Han Solo's gun.
His blaster.
Yeah.
And then you guys had like a Imperial rifle too, right?
Yeah. Levi played with it, and
oh really? You still have it?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Like quite literally, we have all of those old Star Wars toys. Because I mean, you know me, like I take really good care of everything.
Yeah.
And so like that carried on to like that, and he just inherited like. Really, like all the joints are still stiff. You know what I mean? Like you want to get all nerdy about it.
Well, that's stuff you guys got from your dad, though. Like your dad is like that. He likes to keep stuff, and he just keeps it in good condition. You know.
And I think that's the thing is like when I was growing up, our parents were like, "Hey, look, if you want your toys to be around for a while, you need to take care of them. You need to not like."
They gave you that.
Like.
That spiel.
Yeah, because as you get older, you're like, all right, this is my favorite toy. I'm going to play with it. And then all of a sudden, you sit on it or you step on it and all of a sudden the legs don't work or you break the legs. Or was it the old G.I. Joe toys? They had the little rubber band in the torso.
You know what was really cool about those is that like as a kid, we like figured out how to take them apart. And put them back together, so you could like swap pieces out. You could like put one guy's legs on another guy and tighten up the rubber band. It was a cool.
Yeah, that was cool, huh? Because it came off of the torso, and then you had the little rubber band, so you could like kind of pull it a little bit, and like it would stretch a little bit, right?
Yeah. Those are the days. I mean, then those were the toys that we played with, and then if you wanted to keep them good, you had to treat them right. You couldn't like leave them in the dirt. And
I think that's what we're getting at today, people. If you got stuff that you like. Treat it right.
Yeah,
treat them right.
Treat them right. Remember, treat your toys right, or they'll come after you.
All Toy Stories.
Yeah,
Toy Story.
I can't remember the premise of Toy Story. I think.
Yeah.
Right? Don't be Sid.
Don't be Sid. Yeah.
All right, guys. Hey, guys, thanks for listening to us this week. Make sure you check us out on our social medias.
Yeah. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe, and share.
Share it.
Share those toys.
Cool. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.